If I had to describe Shaq in a couple of words.
The single most dominating presence that I've seen play in the NBA.
Phenomenal competitor.
A destroyer.
Dominating on the court.
Most dominant big man that I've ever seen.
Fierce competitor.
They'd be fun.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? It was awesome.
Big kid and champion.
My top moment as a Laker would probably be
proceed with the operation.
We should remember Shaq in LA as one of the greatest Lakers of all time, and similar to Magic, he somehow was able to take really amazing, like incomparable performance and do it in a way that was like fun and exciting and charismatic and enjoyable for the fans to watch.
And watch they did. For 8 seasons, as the future Hall of Famer staked his claim as one of the Lakers' all-time best centers in a franchise marked by legendary big men.
I knew it was going to be tough to surpass all the other Laker greats. So my whole motivation was just being in the conversation. Who's the best Laker center ever? Well, Kareem, and now Shaq. As long as I'm in the conversation for years to come, I think I did my job.
Wilt, during his time, just dominated. Kareem dominated in such a different way. But in his prime of the great centers in the history of the game, Shaquille O'Neal is right there.
He's made his lobby pass. Slam dunk. Standing ovation. Beautiful play. Slam.
Sometimes as a player, you look around and you can just say, oh, I can just dominate that. You know, like guys like myself, you can go out one game and say, oh, I'm better than this guy tonight. I'm gonna show him I'm better than that. But you gotta think about it. Shaq went out every night, and there's pretty much not a center out there that was as good as he is that can compete with him. So I think in his mind, he said, I'm just gonna impose my will on everybody and show them that I'm the most dominating center to play this game and try to put my team on my back and win championships.
He was a force on the court. You'd go in the opposing locker room and they'd have the list of game plans and points of emphasis on the board there, and it seemed like the first 3 items were always about Shaq. He was just the focus and the orientation of every opponent when they were coming in there.
And for the next hour, his top 10 moments as a Laker will be our focus, with the man himself helping narrate the countdown, starting at the beginning with number 10.
Los Angeles Lakers have acquired a 24-year-old superstar who we feel is going to bring us to that incredible level that this franchise has enjoyed in Los Angeles.
Shaquille O'Neal's most important moment would be when Jerry West bought him from Orlando. I remember Jerry West that week. I happened to see him. He was really panicking and nervous.
For the Lakers, pursuing the year's biggest free agent was not without risk. Trading Vlade Divac, Anthony Peeler, and George Lynch to woo the Orlando big man with one of the league's biggest contracts, leaving the Lakers with a depleted roster and an unsure Shaq preparing for the Olympics.
I'm going back and forth with the Orlando Magic, and the day before I go to the Olympics, because I wanted to really concentrate on the Olympics, I was getting ready to sign a 80 for 4. But my gut feeling said, you know what, relax. So the Lakers are messing around, and then I'm here, and I'm at a nightclub, and I get a call from Leonard Armato. He said, hey, Jerry wants to give you Mac, and he wants to talk to you now. It's like, nah, I'm at a club. I listened to the numbers tomorrow and said, no, you want to hear these numbers right now. So at 3 in the morning, I go to Jerry's office, and I don't even look at the contract. I just look at that bottom, and it says 120 for 7. I was like, for me? And I signed it in the middle of the night. Thanks, Jerry.
That was a big deal. It changed everything in Los Angeles. The Lakers were at the time an okay but mediocre team. And bringing in Shaq, the most dominant player during that era, was a monster deal.
This is certainly something that maybe in a week from now that we're all going to look back and say, this is one of the real historic moments in Lakers franchise history.
Easiest decision Dr. Buss ever had to make, it was Shaquille O'Neal, the most dominant force in basketball. The stupidest decision on the other end was Orlando letting him go and not realizing he was worth every penny and more.
It's the moment that defines Shaquille O'Neal's career. He was able to get out of a market like Orlando and legitimize his potential and his skills as a champion.
Not only was it like, oh my God, we've had this championship drought, and here's a guy that is going to help bring us back. And one of the reasons why is it was just another guy in the long line of great big men. Everybody knows the legacy when you're talking about the dominant Laker big men. And here comes the next one, Shaquille O'Neal.
Moving along to number 9, the 1997 All-Star Game, a mere 7 months later.
Unable to be here from the Los Angeles Lakers, number 34, Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq being named the greatest 50 NBA players of all time at age 24 just shows how special he was at an early age, where everyone voting and everyone involved knew that even at 24, he was going to be a top 5 center of all time.
He came into the league 92-93, so you're talking about the 96-97 season. He's only been in the league 4 or 5 years. No rings. He hasn't done enough compared to the greats he's being in the same breath with. You're talking about Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, right on down the list.
In retrospect, the voters look smart for putting him on there because it'd be hard to imagine now a list of the 50 greatest players in the first 5 decades of the league that didn't include Shaquille O'Neal. So it was the right choice, even though it might have been a little ahead of his time.
When I was named one of the 50 greatest players at the age of 24, took a lot of flack from some of the old-timers. So I knew that at that point, I had to prove everybody right. I mean, it was probably a couple guys that should have been on the list before me. I do admit that, but hey, the list is what it is.
How do you respond to that criticism now?
I don't respond. All I say is March 24th, I'll see you out there when I'm bronzed.
Awesome.
I'm still bronzed. I'm not doing this interview anymore.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Coming up, a Hollywood-inspired celebration.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
The story you've never heard behind the alley-oop.
Come down and I'm pointing up. A lot of people ask me what I'm pointing up at.
And a master of intimidation shares his secrets.
Looking at the players and they're looking at me, and as soon as I make this eye contact right here, you know that sound effect? They put their heads down and say, oh, we got this game. Get it to me. Get it to me.
Shaquille O'Neal was the perfect marriage of sports and entertainment in Los Angeles. Los Angeles was never just about basketball. It was always about the show. Shaq was the perfect ringleader for Showtime.
I spent most of my time in Orlando preparing for my afterlife.
Which is?
Sheriff Shaq.
Let's be serious about this. There was hardly anybody in the history of this team that has been more entertaining than Shaquille O'Neal.
He was someone who just had fun with the media, and he was larger than life.
Shaq. That's why I'm Wilt Chamberlain.
Superman, the son of Jarrell.
All the rhetoric that flew out of his mouth, much of it meaningless, was fun.
You're supposed to have fun. Sports are fun. He lived it like that.
From this day on, I would like to be known as the big Aristotle.
I don't know if I really think about Shaq in the way that I think about Aristotle.
Yeah, because he's a philosopher, right? That's exactly what we want from a basketball player.
When you're as big as Shaq is, you call yourself whatever you want. We'll buy it.
I am no longer the big Aristotle. I want to be known as the big Shakespeare.
There's never been a player that I've ever covered that has been as much fun as Shaq. Like, Shaq was a traveling party.
It doesn't matter how you start the day. It matters how you finish the day.
He understood the media. He understood how to deal with fans. He understood how to play to the crowd. And he understood when it was time to knock all that off and just win.
Something he would do en route to 3 straight NBA championships, each road leading through their in-state rivals to the north. The subject of our number 8 moment on the countdown.
That's one of the great rivalries. One of the great underrated rivalries for a few years in sports was the Kings and the Lakers. Pure hatred.
The intensity in Sacramento was hard to compare. It really was personal. And I think that's what made it different. You could tell guys personally were invested in this game.
Sacramento was our biggest rivalry, and I wanted to amp them up and I wanted to amp myself up, so I went on TV and called them the Queens.
We're not worried about the Sacramento Queens. Not at all.
In every sport, there's always that thing about don't give the other team bulletin board material, and that, like everything else, Shaq just laughed it off.
I'm not going to be doing this all year, going back and forth with them.
I just remember Shaq uttering the line, the Sacramento Queens, and enunciating it.
Like I said, I'm not worried about the Sacramento Queens. Write it down, take a picture, send it to them. I don't care.
That's right, I said it. Sacramento Queens. Like, he clarified, like, I said the Queens. And you're like, wow.
I'm hoping you got cheeseburgers just for you today. And a slice of cheesecake.
Now the whole town of Sacramento, hates him and us, and it's personal.
I knew one thing for sure when Shaq started talking, that he was going to back up whatever he was saying. And it was a good sign for us when he would come out and taunt the other team, because then we knew he was ready to play because he was going to back up what he said.
Winning a championship, take everything you got. Sacramento, they thought it was the year, but I'm telling you it's not.
When somebody gets under your skin, it affects your composure. And Shaq was really good at getting under the other team's skin.
One year they were really good and it got to the game 7. And this is what I always used to do in the national anthem to see if I had a personality. And the Rockets were grand. And I'd look up. And if you're looking at me, I got you. Means you're not concentrating on the game, you're worrying about what I'm doing. So, like, looking at the players, and they're looking at me, and as soon as I make this eye contact right here, that sound effect, they put their heads down and say, oh, we got this game.
In 2002, when Sacramento worked all year to get home court advantage, and then got Game 7 in their building, and then at the end of Game 7 with the score tied, got a wide-open shot for Peja Stojakovic, their best shooter, and he shot an air ball. All of us looked at each other and said, Shaq's going to have a field day with this.
He was like, Shaq got in his head.
Doug couldn't hit no shots. Chris didn't want to shoot. Vlade fouled out on purpose.
A lot of times Shaq would just say things that the rest of us were thinking, but just never would say publicly. And that's what you loved about Shaq, is that he oftentimes didn't really care what other people thought about what he said. But, we're not all 7 feet 295 or whatever he was, at that time like that, could back up the words the way he could. So he could get away with saying whatever he wanted to say.
And those words would lead to our number 7 moment.
Sacramento will never be the capital of California. Los Angeles is the new capital of California.
Some of the most indelible moments in Laker history have come in the championship parades.
If you can look in the upper left-hand corner of your picture, you see the crowd. And
the parades provided some great moments.
After we won a championship in 2000, that was before LA Live was what it is now. So that was just a big parking lot. And so we're talking about 1 million people maybe just taking up all of this room, and it was like a concert, man.
And that's why I say to you today, this is the most dominating player in the history of the NBA, Shaquille O'Neal.
When I think of the first parade, I was like, how does all these people fit downtown, and how am I going to get home? The one-on-one is going to be a mess. It was lovely. It was the same feeling that when I was a youngster who was a Laker fan. Every time Magic won, I won. And everybody's having a good time, and I'm like, it was just awesome. And then I opened my big mouth.
Can you dig it?
As it's going down at that moment, you're thinking, this is freaking priceless.
Can you dig it?
It's coming out of this huge dude with this great sense of humor.
Can you dig it?
So you gotta look down a little bit like this, like, can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
And people just go crazy.
Can you dig it? it?
Can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
You know, that's just emblematic of the fun he was having here. He was the court jester, and they were winning championships and having a good time, and that's what I remember about his time here.
I mean, he was asking people, can you dig it? Can you dig it? And everybody could dig it. I mean, it was pretty impressive.
Can you dig it?
That's not his phrase. This is ridiculous. This is not Shaq's phrase.
Are you going to give credit that somebody else actually came up with this and he stole it?
That's from a movie in the 70s, if you're the right age, called The Warriors.
You know, that's where it came from. A lot of people don't know that.
Can you dig it was spoken by a character named Cyrus, who was the head of all the New York gangs.
When we got on that little podium and all those people, I was like, I feel like Cyrus from the Warriors right now. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? It was awesome. I felt like Cyrus.
As our countdown continues, what the captain has to do with one of Shaq's greatest scoring games of all time.
We'll make Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar look at me. Look at me, Kareem. Look at me!
Welcome back to the Lakers' Top 10 Shaq moments. Before the countdown rolls on, here's one moment that didn't make the cut.
You know, as a guy that's not really a shooter, I was always a prolific scorer. I always wanted to hit a last-second shot. Always wanted to hit a last-second shot. And Dale called the play, and I was like, we're not running that. Get me the ball. He was like, what? I said, we're not running nothing you putting out on the board. Get me the ball. And Dale was like, okay, you want to win the game, tough guy? Go and win the game. We didn't even call a play. So Nick got it to me. I took my little bounce and went to my little fadeaway. All draws, yak 'em.
Now, back to the countdown and our number 6 moment, as told by Shaq himself.
March 6, 2000, I'm breaking all the rules. For example, shoot around was 10 to 11. Go home, eat lunch, always take a nap, right? Get up, try to have a good game. But it's my birthday. We got a party that night. I'm not doing nothing today. We playing against the Clippers. Kobe, you do it. So all day I'm riding around, getting ready for the party, boom, boom, boom. I don't even think I went home to take a shower. I think I came to the game in a sweatsuit.
Shaq arrived with his friends in town who wanted to watch the big man play at Staples Center on his birthday. There was one problem, however.
Well, I remember before the game, he's sitting there at his locker, and he was mad because the Clippers didn't give him extra tickets. It was a Clipper home game.
You know, for a Lakers game, he's Shaq. They'll give him whatever he needs. The Clippers said no. And Shaq said, well, I've got some friends that are like outside. I got to get them in. And the Clippers said, no more tickets. We can't give you any.
The Clippers charged me in the Staples Center, the center that I built. You forgot I was the one with the shovel out there with Mr. Insurance and Tim Lywicki? But you want to charge me? Okay. All right, I got something for you, Clippers.
And he got this look on his face, and I turned to my cameraman. I said, the Clippers are in serious trouble. And the Lakers, from the beginning, just started feeding Shaq the ball.
He said there was going to be some punishment to be administered, and then he goes out and drops a 61.
Pass under to Shaq, and Shaq scored.
And it was one of those moments where he's like, yo, I'm going to go out and do damage tonight.
I start to get going, and my good friend Kareem was on the Clipper bench. I get the ball, and I throw a little sky hook. He's not looking. I said, oh, you're not going to look at me, Kareem? Every time I hit a shot, I'm looking at Kareem. He has his head down like this. So at halftime, I said, I'm going for 70 tonight. Give it to me. Phil was talking. I said, no, we ain't doing none of that you talk about, Phil Jackson. Triangle, schmiangle. Give it to me. I'm going to make Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar look at me. Look at me, Kareem. Look at me! So I just got hot, and I just started going.
He's got 44 points.
I hate to say this on camera, but we didn't care if we won or lost the game. We just wanted to get him as many points as possible. You know, it was just us trying to get in the rock, play hard on the defensive end, go back down there and get the ball to Shaq and get out of there.
And dunk. Standing ovation. Beautiful.
Shaq even wrote in his book after they won the championship that year that moment for him to get 61 and how the team helped him get there was a real big moment for the unity and the camaraderie of the guys.
Gets the assist, and Kobe makes a spectacular underneath. 117 to 97.
they're going to take Shaq out the next dead ball.
I was actually standing back by the locker room when he came walking back in. The first thing he looks over and he says, "Don't ever make me pay for tickets." So, you know, he did not let it go.
I bet the Clippers don't make that mistake to a superstar player again anytime soon.
I'm still kind of upset with Phil. It was 3 minutes left. He should have kept me in, but 61 was good. But it was something I never usually do. I usually take a nap on game day. I didn't do anything because we were playing the Clippers. Who are the Clippers? Speaking of Clippers, I don't like the fact that when you guys have your home games, you cover up the jerseys. Until you win, what, 16 championships, then you can start changing the rules. Don't cover up my jersey. It's our building. Don't forget that. Okay? All right. Y'all just leasing it. Well, it's our building.
And that brings us to number 5. Shaq is immortalized in his building twice. However, the big man himself originally doubted his standing amongst the other legendary Lakers big men.
I knew it was going to be tough to surpass all the other Laker greats. It's going to be hard to catch up to Kareem. 5. Wilt has 2, but he was the most dominant center ever. So as long as I'm in the conversation for years to come, I think I did my job.
Being in the conversation would be guaranteed, and the job he did in LA would be honored when he would return to Staples Center 9 years after leaving the team for a ceremony to reveal his jersey next to the Laker greats.
It was a reunion of sorts. You know, you had Kobe and Shaq embracing one another once again. You had Phil back in the building.
But for me, Shaquille, I want to thank you for your dedication, your leadership, and the hard work that you put in. Congratulations.
The most gifted physical specimen I've ever seen play this game. And I know you've played for other organizations, but you know, you'll always truly be remembered by playing for one. And that's here with the LA Lakers, man. Congratulations. You deserve it, man. Enjoy it.
As we kind of can look back, you know, at our careers and some of the things that we've accomplished together, we can laugh at it. We can laugh at it, and we can also respect what we've accomplished and what we've done together, because not many people can say that they've done that.
I just wanted to be like Magic and Kareem and Gail Goodrich and Jerry West and, you know, all the other Laker greats that played. James Worthy, you know, that being that my name is up there, it's a great honor. It really is.
An honor that would be further solidified 4 years later, just steps outside Staples Center.
We want to welcome all of you to this monumental occasion. Another statue for another Laker legend, the big fella himself, Shaquille O'Neal.
I just want to say thank you. I've learned so much from you as a player. Your kids, you guys should know your dad was a bad man. He's a bad man. Congratulations, and much love to you, my brother.
The night he said he would come here, I knew it was going to change the landscape of this city, but more importantly, the fortunes of the Lakers.
I still didn't believe it. I still don't believe it. There's a lot of Lakers before me that are more deserving than a statue, and I'm just definitely honored.
You know, I love you guys. Thank you for staying on me. Thank you for motivating me. And this is a great moment. Thank you all for coming out. As I look out here, I have to do it. You know what's coming. Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Live from the Great Western Forum in Inglewood, California, it's opening night.
Hopefully I can come in and give the people a good show and just, you know, play hard. And hopefully we can get a win on my first night.
The Shaq, he turns and shows it down, and a really shot.
A debut he would win, but for a star like Shaq, with a dominant presence on the court and an oversized personality off, in a town like Los Angeles, it would not be his only premiere.
Well, when I think of Shaq in LA, I think about him as not just a basketball star, but just a star. I mean, who among us has not seen Kazam?
Kazam, the 400-pound genie. I think he came to L.A. just for that.
He's like Aladdin, but he's just the black Aladdin.
People slam Shaq's movie career. Come on, man, that's great acting.
Did you see that movie? No. I don't think anybody saw those movies.
Man, Shaq the actor is bad. Just bad.
I can't get it out of my mind. Every time I see him, I see Kazam.
I wish it would go away.
I don't get flack for taking Kazam. I don't take flack from adults. First of all, adults, you shouldn't be watching the damn movie anyway. Take your kids in the room, hit play, get your ass out the room. Come back in, check them, make sure they're not doing it. It's a kid's movie. Stupid.
Back to the countdown and our number 4 moment, a season that would define Shaquille O'Neal's legacy.
This is the end of the Forum as a site for NBA basketball. It was here that the Showtime Lakers won 5 championships in the 1980s. But apparently, it will end not in the fashion that it usually did for Magic's teams, but with a sweep, and the Lakers on the wrong end of it.
After 2 straight years of being swept out of the playoffs, the Lakers entered the summer of 1999 with an all-star center who had yet to live up to expectations, something a Hall of Fame coach was brought in to remedy.
There was always a scapegoat. You know, they could put it on Coach Dale Harris. They could put it on this guy. You know, they could say Shaq was too distracted doing other things. And I thought Phil's arrival kind of forced everybody to basically hold themselves accountable at a higher level, because we knew where he had come from and what he had accomplished. So if somehow we didn't win, it was on us. It wouldn't be on Phil.
Phil challenged him from the moment that he got hired here as a coach. And one thing that Phil knew was that Shaq's father, Sergeant Harrison, was a disciplinarian. He was an Army man, and he knew that Shaq could take criticism. He knew that Shaq could take discipline, and so he challenged him at every point.
You know, before the end of the year, Phil Jackson calls me and says, look, I'm looking at your schedule. You got a lot of commercials, you got a lot of albums, you got a lot of this, a lot of parties. I need you to cancel all of it. I was like, why would I do that? He said, I promise you, if you do this and listen to me, you will get MVP. If you don't get MVP, go back to what you're doing. I said, deal.
I've seen that shot too many times, John. You like to float it, and I like to swat it.
Oh, man. He helped Shaq to understand that, you know, really focusing on your craft and your job as a player is the most important thing. Right from the start of the season, you could tell he was locked in.
So that year I didn't have anything. I just concentrated on what he said, focus, focus, focus. Became a master of the triangle, and it worked.
He always felt that he didn't have the guidance, he didn't have the coaching, he had the raw talent, but he needed someone to show him the way, and he discovered that in Phil Jackson.
Phil challenged him to get to a level that maybe he would have never reached before, and to recognize and accept and be that dominant, powerful person that he was. And so, you know, rebounding, scoring, passing, every aspect of the game, and being a good teammate and being a leader, he challenged him, and Shaq checked all of those boxes.
When Phil Jackson first met with Shaquille O'Neal and sat him down, he said, you know that MVP trophy, the Maurice Podoloff trophy, that should be named the Shaquille O'Neal trophy by the time you're done playing.
A trophy he would win that season, alongside the All-Star and Finals MVP awards. Just the 3rd person in NBA history to win all 3 in the same season.
Shaq's 1999-2000 season was among the most dominant complete seasons in NBA history. All-Star Game MVP, regular season MVP, Finals MVP, just murdering, doing whatever he wants on everybody.
Shaq holds it up, backing in on Geiger, turn, shoot, 50. Oh, what a nice shot from 15 feet out.
And that was the best of Shaq. That was the full manifestation of what Shaq could be, and what an awesome, dominant force it was.
You know, going in, I was the early season MVP, and some idiot from Atlanta named Fred Hicks messed up history. I would have been the first unanimous MVP, and Fred Hicks, you idiot, you messed up history. And then 15 years later, you give it to Stephon Marbury like there's no LeBron James in the league. That don't even make sense to me. But thanks, Fred Hickman, for messing up history, you idiot. And don't cut that out. I want them to hear it.
Moving on in the countdown, our number 3 moment, Shaq's 3 straight Finals MVPs.
Winning 3 straight Finals MVPs is something that so few players in NBA history have done. And when Shaq did it, you know, it was him. He was the guy. He was the guy that dominated the paint. You knew that if you saw him in that next round, it was going to be a long, long series.
He was sometimes out of shape during the regular season or took his time to get his game together, but when it came to June and it came to that three-peat, he was the best player on the court.
I lost my first Finals in Orlando. I felt horrible. I didn't want to feel like that ever again. So I always said to myself, if I get back I'm going to work. And I realized that if we made it to the finals and we didn't win, it's going to be your fault, Shaq. So to negate that, I had to dominate each and every time.
If you look back at the numbers, it's astonishing. You know, close to 30 points per game, close to 14 rebounds per game, 3 or 4 blocks per game. He was able to draw in double teams, find open teammates for open three-point shots. Those trophies are as much a part of his legacy as anything else he's done, and they're well-deserved. He was at the prime of his career for those finals performances.
3 straight NBA championships. Shaquille O'Neal, no question, the most valuable player, only the second player to win it 3 consecutive times.
I have no idea who was the only other person to do 3 finals MVPs.
The other, Michael Jordan.
Oh, Michael Jordan. I didn't know that. So you learn something new every day. I'm just finding out right now off my good friend Google that Michael Jordan was the only other guy to get 3 straight finals MVP. I'm next to Mike. Sometimes I feel that he is me. Man, that's nice.
The countdown is almost over. But first, let's take a look back at how we got here.
Since 120 for 7, I was like, for me? And I signed it in the middle of the night. Took a lot of flack from some of the old timers. So I knew that at that point, I had to prove everybody right.
But I'm not worried about the Sacramento Queens. Write it down, take a picture, send it to them. I don't care.
When we got on that little podium and all the people, can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? It was awesome. Phil was talking. I said, no, we ain't doing none of that you're talking about, Phil Jackson. Triangle, schmiangle, get it to me. Kareem ain't looking at me. I'm gonna make Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar look at me. Look at me, Kareem. Look at me! Being that my name is up there, it's a great honor. It really is.
Love you guys. Appreciate it. Can you dig it?
A lot of commercials, you got a lot of albums, you got a lot of this, a lot of parties. I need you to cancel all of it. I said, I promise you, if you do this and listen to me, you will get MVP. I said, deal. And I realized that if we made it to the finals and we didn't win, it's gonna be your fault, Shaq. So to negate that, I had to dominate each and every time.
Now back to the countdown and our number 2 moment, involving a Lakers team that Shaq thinks is getting slighted in one of our previous countdown shows.
People don't talk about it. Matter of fact, you did a show, Top 10 Laker Championship Team. You had us number 3. Are you kidding me? Producers of the show, are you kidding me? We are the best Laker team out there. So that should be the best championship team ever, period.
Well, we will talk about it now.
Wow, that's my number 2. That's my number 2.
...2001 playoff run, that's about as dominant as you're going to get from a team.
The Lakers were an indomitable force up to Game 1 of the NBA Finals, 11-0 for the first rounds of the playoffs, and then they come into this chippy Sixers team led by the league MVP and Allen Iverson.
The 2001 NBA Finals are underway.
We stormed through the first 3 rounds. Our plan is to run the tables. Yeah, be the greatest playoff team, not only in Laker history, but in the history of the NBA. We want to run the tables. The AI comes into town. He's not having it. 55, jumpers, boom, bam. My favorite moment is this moment right here. He shot a jumper and stepped over Coach Tyrone Lue. Check this out.
Iverson. Yes. How about that? And steps over Tyrone Lue.
After that moment, I knew it was going to be a long night.
The biggest question is going to be, how are the Lakers going to respond to this? They have been almost invincible. Nobody has been able to dent their psyche.
It was so disappointing when we lost that Game 1 in overtime. You know, it was one of those things that was unsaid because it was up to us to try to go out and be perfect that year, you know, sweep everybody, because if you sweep everybody, we knew in our hearts and our minds that nobody would be able to do that again. And when we lost that first game, we were like, oh man, we were so heartbroken.
However, through our walls, because it's the Lakers room, and then I don't know what they got in between, but you can hear it. Oh, they're celebrating. Oh, they're down there jamming and jumping up and down. Like, we hear them. And after the game, they're all on our floor taking pictures. They're acting like they won it. So now I'm mad. Now I'm really mad.
The Lakers were undefeated going into that series. They're heavy favorites. They're at home, and Allen Iverson and the Sixers beat them in Game 1. So now all the pressure is on the Lakers.
When something like that happens, you call upon your best players. They say, I'm not going to let this happen again. And not only are we going to win this game, but I'm going to inflict so much pain on the opposition that this is going to hurt throughout the rest of the playoffs, and you're going to have zero chance. And that's exactly what Shaq did in Game 2.
I think it was indicative of our team to take what appears to be an adverse situation and turn it into a super positive, because we were absolutely dominant from that point on.
I always took it as a sign of disrespect when teams didn't double me. So Dikembe Mutombo was supposedly the best defensive player in the league. I said, okay, this is barbecue Zimbabwe chicken right here. That's exactly what it's going to be.
Let's not forget, Shaq was doing this against the Defensive Player of the Year and just, literally, smashing his face in with elbows and just wearing him out underneath.
His line against Mutombo, 28 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists, and 8 blocks.
Those are bananas, man. To me, that's what I love the most about Shaq. I think people will always remember his physical dominance. But to have 8 blocks and 9 assists in a game, in the finals, to me, that shows a level of IQ and finesse and strategy and positioning and being able to read the game of basketball in a way that a lot of times he doesn't get credit for because he was so big and strong.
Not only did that even the series, but that sent a message. It's not going to happen. Go ahead, we gave you the one. You're not going to get another. One loss for that championship team, and that second game performance by Shaquille O'Neal set a tone, sent a message. We're winning another title.
And now, the #1 moment. 2000 Western Conference Finals, Game 7.
This is one of the most talked about games in Laker history, obviously. And I think it's maybe one of the most important.
And remember, the Lakers were up 3-1. Portland comes back to LA, wins Game 5, goes Game 6, Portland, they kind of roll the Lakers. So now you go to Game 7, and all the pressure seems to shift to a young LA team.
In his 4th season since joining the team, Shaq still had not won a ring. Now with a new coach, they found themselves on the cusp of the NBA Finals, where after blowing a 3-1 series lead, faced an unexpected 7th game.
They get all the way to Game 7 against the Portland Trailblazers, a much more veteran team.
And I'm watching it, and they're getting lit up. I mean, lit up.
Stunning. Well, how big is that?
We were down 16 at one point, and I had played with Shaq for a few years in Orlando, and our last 2 memories were being swept in the finals against Houston in '94, '95, and then the following year being swept in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Chicago Bulls. And so I do remember a moment looking at him and, kind of saying, are we going to go out like this again?
Lakers need something big here to try to fire the crowd up over the corner break.
Lakers were dead in the water against Portland. It was over. Like, the Trailblazers were celebrating. The families were making plans for the finals. The networks were like, we're going to Portland, boys.
And I remember looking around, and it was quiet, and everybody in here was like, wow, this is the way it's going to end, huh? This team is not ready to win a championship.
What was remarkable about our team and remarkable about Shaq, I think his approach to just playing the game was generally the same. Whether we were down or up, he played with the same force and intent to dominate the opponent. So I don't think he ever felt like we were out of a game at any point.
Phil Jackson's called a timeout. We were down like 15, 17 points. And he said, all right, we had a great year. See you next summer. Let's just finish the game out. Genius move.
Phil was notorious for, kind of reverse psychology. He also let us always figure it out ourselves.
And Kobe looked at me and I looked at him and we were like, Nah, forget that. I corralled the guys good. I was like, let's make a run.
12 minutes to do something in your life.
And then the Lakers just, here they are. They're coming back.
Well, because that was blocked by Kobe Bryant. I mean, that's his fourth block, and that was a beautiful block.
Everybody starts contributing. B. Shaw's got some big shots.
Pointer to Shaw, his three-pointer, that's good.
B. Shaw hit a nice jumper. He hit another jumper.
Jack holds it up and gives it to Shaw. He'll shoot the three for you. He hit it. He hit it. 75 all, a 15-0 run.
Rick Fox made a play. My main man, Big Shot Bob, made a play. And I was telling Kobe the whole time, hey, man, I'm open, I'm open. He'll say, I got you, I got you.
It's Kobe again. A 20-point swing.
At that moment, we had been down 20-plus points, and we came roaring back, and everybody thought we were going to lose that, you know. But the Lakers fans stayed in the stands. They stayed cheering, and the next thing you know, we coming back.
By Pippen, no good. Rebound Shaq. Now you're in control.
This moment, it all comes down to is, can these two guys work together with one another, Kobe and Shaq?
All you do now is run almost all you do. 24.
On the last play, Kobe crosses up Scotty, and like he's looking at me, and like I know he's not, because like when Kobe shoots, it's so pretty, you know he's gonna shoot. So he did like that. I'm like, oh, he threw it, and then it went too high.
My first thought was Kobe threw the ball too high. You know, it seemed like he threw it way up there. I didn't think Shaq could get it. It was like on its way to the 300 level seats.
Kobe's down the middle. He's in deep.
It was too high. It was too high, and I had to put on my and then I grabbed it just threw it down.
He's in deep. Goes to Shaq. Strong dunk. The Lakers lead by 6.
It was way too high, but I had to go get it. When you ask for it, you got to go get it.
The whole team, we all are just running on the court like the game is over, and it wasn't over. And I was the veteran. I'm the elder statesman on the team, and I'm still running with my hands up.
When he threw that ball up and Shaq finished it, I mean, I might have been on the court before before the ball was even through the net, because I knew that was the play that was going to cement us making it to the NBA Finals for our first time.
Goes to Shaq.
And the whole Staples Center just explodes.
The loudest I've ever heard the building. That was the play that put the Lakers ahead for good. And I looked around, and I could swear the building was moving.
A perfect pass to Shaq from Kobe.
And Shaquille dunked it one-handed, and then he ran back to the bench. It was a timeout, and he had his arms out like this and his eyes bulging.
Grabbed it, and boom, came down, and I'm pointing up. A lot of people ask me what I'm pointing up at. That morning, my son, who's one of the top juniors in the country, Sharif O'Neal, was 2 years old. I didn't even know he could talk the way he talked. So he came up to me, and right before I was leaving, he said, "Daddy, I need you to win the game today." And I was like, who the hell taught you how to talk? I was like, sure, son, I'll take care of it. So when I threw it down, he was sitting up in the suites because he was still a little baby, and that's what I'm pointing at.
This was the most remarkable comeback victory I've ever witnessed.
I see the alley-oop even today. It still gives me goosebumps. I remember, watching that game and just as a basketball fan going crazy.
Deep goes to Shaq.
The lob to Shaq was really special. I think it was very symbolic in our relationship and how far our relationship had come. For he and I to have that connection at that moment in time. Threw it to him, and he went and got it, and the rest is history.
This game is over. Ladies and gentlemen, this game is in the refrigerator.
That was the moment that everybody realized that this guy who had never won anything coming here and who had 3 NBA titles in front of him, we realized that he could do the job, that he could be the guy, that he could be the next dominating big man.
It really encapsulates that era, those 3 championships. It was the tip-off moment that got them to the finals, got them over the hump.
My top moment as a Laker, Game 7, Portland. The Kobe lob started our dynasty. It was just awesome.